Hello everybody, I'm Delegate Ken Plum. Welcome to our show, Virginia Report. You know, it is the case that every day we grow a bit older. And while we don't want to talk about it, oftentimes the situation is that life's needs change, our circumstances change, and thankfully there are people in the community who give a great deal of thought to that and work towards making a quality of life for us as we grow older in the community. I have with me tonight as a guest Christine Hyland, the Executive Director of Life Circles Alliance. Christine, welcome.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
It is a case that we grow older and our needs change.
Absolutely.
But those needs can be responded to in the community.
Absolutely. And I think many of our viewers have probably seen the recent front page article in the Washington Times that talked about the new census statuses have come out, where they said that there's been an 18% increase in the number of people who are 45 and older versus those younger in the last decade. So it's a huge issue here. We know that this is the first year that the baby boomers are turning 65, Delegate Plum. That will mean that every hour, 316 Americans turn 65. So this is a huge shift in our community. What does it mean here in Fairfax? It means that 10% of our population is now amongst those that we would call 55 plus. What's going to happen in the future? We don't know. 2% of the operating budget now goes for their services. They're 53% of the voters out there, and yet we all see that there's going to need to be a shift if the needs of the older adults and adults with disabilities, and we include our vets in that, are to be met. So that's what Life Circle's about.
And it's also the case, as I understand from the statistics, not only is the aggregate number of older adults increasing, but it is the case that our lifespan is increasing.
Absolutely.
So those baby boomers can expect to not be simply in their 80s, but into their 90s.
And that also boomerangs back to the issue of caregivers. Right now, a third of Americans, 65% of Americans, or 65 million Americans, are caring for somebody. A third of us are already caring for somebody. The monetary value of those services are $385 billion each year, volunteer services, and that's double what the government is now paying for home care and in nursing home care. So it's a huge issue because, like you say, we're going to live to 95. The caregivers are going to be 75. So we need to have a whole shift in the way that our communities work so that we'll be able to accommodate the need that everybody has. They want to age in place and they want to be as independent as possible for as long as possible. So what gets impacted in all of that? Our housing needs, transportation needs, our needs for services in the home so that someone can stay in the home and have help with what we call activities of daily living. So it is an issue with us getting old. There's another huge issue in our community, and that's the issue of young people with disabilities, meaning people 18 and over. Terrific issue there is autism. In the last 10 years, that's increased 775% in the population. In the United States, it's 1 in 110 children. In Fairfax, it's 1 in 97. And amongst our military families here in Fairfax, 1 in 67. So this is a huge issue for the Fairfax County Schools, who do a terrific job with these young people until they're 22. And then what we found in the work of Life Circle is that there are no programs for them after that. So we're trying to fill a need there by creating programs, creative, cost-effective programs that will meet those needs in our community.
Big undertaking.
Huge.
But Life Circle Alliance is biting off the effort to try to respond to this. Tell us about the Alliance.
The Alliance is really interesting. Fairfax County has had a long-term care coordinating council since 1999. So we are way ahead of the curve of most other communities in the country, which is to our credit. In about 2002, the Board of Supervisors moved to make it official that there would be a long-term care coordinating council. They also issued a strategic plan, Independence for Life. So they're working towards that. And they did issue a strategic plan that's been being worked upon. Programs and efforts have been done according to that. One thing that they thought to do, which I thought was very smart, is they spun off, if you will, a separate nonprofit organization that could gather the resources that were needed to push the strategic plan. And that's what Life Circle Alliances is. So we have a wonderful board. Verdi Haywood used to be the head of Health and Human Services for the county. He's on our board, as is Kate Hanley, who actually was the chair of the Board of Supervisors for many years. Both have had a long-term interest in this area, and I think since they are so interested in community affairs, both realize that this is the defining issue going forward with our community.
Sure. So how would you define then the mission of the Life Care Alliance?
Life Circle Alliances has a wonderful mission. It's kind of cutting edge. We are supposed to identify and showcase and raise resources to create programs that are going to fill the need in the community. So we're using a lot of high tech, if you will. We do have a new initiative that we're using on our website. It's called crowdfunding. You probably have heard of it. You probably have participated and don't know yet. But it's actually the idea where you put up a project that needs funding and then you invite community support. Anyone can go on our website, they can look at our Giving Circle Project Showcase listing and give directly to the program there that they want to support. And we have programs for young adults, we have programs for seniors, we have programs that talk about the transportation problems in our area. And workforce issues. We're also very involved in helping to train the direct service workforce folks that are going to be needed to be in our homes to care for our loved ones.
Sure. Are you actually operating any of those programs, or are you an alliance of programs?
We are an alliance of programs, so we don't actually operate the programs.
Right.
We have a wonderful initiative we started this year. It's called the Verdi Haywood Incentive Fund Grants. When Verdi retired, he asked that all the money come to Life Circle. We set up an incentive fund, and what we do is we gather about $10,000 and then we announce grants. So people from the community, programs can give us creative ideas that need a little funding to get the seeds in the ground. This has been just wonderful. We have funded the first ever program for young adults with autism that's going to kick off in the fall. We have funded a really neat pad that we're giving out to doctors who are dealing with families who are getting a diagnosis of dementia. Because right now those families don't get anything as they leave the doctor's office. So the Dementia Committee of the Long-Term Care Coordinating Council Senior Services have put together a resource. Here, take this with you. This is how you start. So you can see that a lot of it is really kind of grassroots ideas that need a home, that need to get going in our community.
And need a relatively small amount of funding.
Absolutely. A little bit of money can get the prototype out there that will really be something that will help in the long run. Another wonderful program that Life Circle's been involved in is there's a multicultural program out of Grace Ministries and the Korean Senior Center to train multicultural certified nurses aides. It's a program, it's a course of study. We have done scholarships for folks that have participated in that. Over 400 people have graduated. This last class that just graduated, every one of them had a job. So that goes to our issues about economic issues of people having jobs too.
Sure.
So it's trying to work in tandem with the other organizations in the county where we fill as many needs as we can and work together with the resources that we have to make what we need to be done.
Sure. So individuals, that incentive fund got started with Verdi's retirement,
right?
But it's a fund that continues to go on, and you're seeking to build it.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
That's a wonderful point that you just made. There's a wonderful young gentleman who owns Integrity One Partners here in Fairfax, and he has just funded a round of the Haywood grants to the tune of $10,000. And because he's an employer, and he has a mom under care and a father-in-law under care. So he sees that this issue is going to impact his workers in his company. So they got together as a company and said, we're going to give this $10,000 to the Haywood Grants. And he came and sat on the committee. So when we vetted those projects to see where that money's going to go, he helped us do it. Happy with the whole program, and he's actually announced that he's going to again fund a round of Haywood Grants. So we're looking for other corporations and businesses to do the same,
Surely.
to kind of say, this means something to us as a business. We're going to help deal with this. Okay. And this is how we can do it in a creative way where we have a hands-on with the with the philanthropy.
We want to say to people who are watching who have an interest either personally or in their corporate positions to participate in this, how they find out more about it.
Right.
And of course, that would be your website, obviously.
Right, and that's our front door, as it is with most organizations, and it's www.lifecirclealliances.org. Okay. And you'll find all the information there. You certainly can join as an ally. We have a membership drive. It's $20.10 to join as an individual member. It's $2,010 if you want to be a corporate member. But we need to get together and advocate. You know, that we need to get together and say, these programs have merit. We need to meet the needs of our people in the community as we all grow older.
Now, if I were to join as an individual member at the individual level, what would that bring me?
Well, we'd ask you to stay updated with what we do on our website. We certainly use all the social media too. You'll see there's lots on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn. We keep people abreast of any opportunities. Today, I just put up a little article that I saw under Supervisor Faust's e-newsletter about a fund that helps with home repairs if you're an older or disabled resident. That's timely for people.
Right.
Community convenings that are coming up. I would say one is that Reston here, Reston for All Ages is a kind of a village model underway. It's been going on for a while. They're meeting this Saturday at the Reston Town Center, so that would be July 16th from 2 to 4. Come out and be involved. They're talking about what's going on in specific neighborhoods, how the neighborhoods are going to communicate, and other specific programs that they have underway, ideas. It's time to get out and to be with your neighbors and say, what can I do to help?
With the issue of working with folks growing older, as you point out, there are individual programs that relate to individual needs, but then there's this broader approach that's being taken in our Reston community of looking at how the community itself might be
The
reshaped.
village model,
Yeah, the
yes,
village model.
absolutely.
Can you talk a little bit about how that village model works?
The village model's a really interesting model. It was born out of the Beacon Hill area of Boston a number of years ago, where you had people aging in place, is what they call it, and they realized as they all got older, they wanted to stay in their homes, but they needed help with the plumbing, or they needed help getting the groceries, or to get to the doctors. They couldn't drive anymore. So they kind of banded together and they vetted certain vendors who then they would contract with, so that if you were in your home and you needed help, you gave a call. And we are so lucky here in Fairfax County. There's one operating already in Mount Vernon. McLean is talking about it. There's actually going to be a forum for the McLean area on October the 15th, and that's up on our website too. So that people can come out and get involved. Reston's been at it for a while now. So they're at the next stage where they're really looking at what they can do in individual communities. It's a great model. It works really well. And it's inclusive, as we do all things here in Reston area. It's inclusive of all economic levels and certainly multicultural.
Surely. And it does, in fact, build that sense of community that we often give lip service to, but for which there aren't many examples.
Yeah.
Too many streets, it is unfortunately the case that we actually don't know who the neighbors are on the street.
Exactly.
But this community model goes beyond that, and neighbors begin to support neighbors.
Right. You have to say, who lives on either side of me? Or my dad lives here in Reston. He's 86, and he's been here since 1976. It's important to me, as in my family, because many of us live across the country, that his neighbors know that he's there in the house. They do help him, and we're so grateful for that. They keep an eye on Dad.
At the same time that you're talking about folks growing older, you're also dealing with folks who have special needs, and you mentioned that We have a wonderful program in the public schools that take care of children with intellectual challenges and physical handicaps and so on, up to age 22.
Right.
And then
There's nothing. So what's happened is a number of years ago, there was a program, again, born here in Reston. It's called SPARK, Specially Adapted Resource Clubs. It was started by a woman, Donna Gold-Branson, who herself has a child with many needs. And it's a club. The kids come together at the Southgate Center, and they decide what activities they're going to do. It's very creative. They adapt the activities to those that participate. Many of the kids come in chairs or come with fast tran with an aid, but they've done tremendous things. They have a wonderful photography project that they've done where they've made note cards and they actually use cameras that are on their wheelchairs. They use computers, laptops that actually Life Circle provided the funding for some of the laptops. They've made dog biscuits and sold them as a kind of an entrepreneurial effort. They're helping locally plant a garden to make the neighborhood look better. So it's to get them out into the community, to get them to fully participate as much as possible. The little bugaboo there really was nothing for Asperger's, autism spectrum disorder type people. So we, through Life Circle, have brought together SPARK with Jewish Social Services. SPARK is going to open a second clubhouse in McLean in September, and within their programming will be particular programming aimed at young people with autism spectrum disorder. So there will be a new wrinkle, if you will, to that program, and again, it's a prototype. We're trying to see how we can make that work. The whole push here is we know that there's a need for 6 or 7 of these clubhouses in the county right now. There are waiting lists. So if we can get these 2 going and going well, and to show the community the results, we're hoping that we can spin off the rest. And your viewers can help today. Spark is up under Pepsi Challenge. If you go on sparkontheweb.org, you can vote for them because they're one of the programs up seeking funding through the Pepsi Challenge right now.
we're not talking here about government programs. We're talking about community-based, nonprofit,
That's right.
citizen-supported programs.
That's absolutely right. And there are so many ideas when we get our grant proposals and our Giving Circle projects in. So many creative ideas out there that just need a little help to get going in the community. And there is such a need. One thing that we did last year was we created something called the Kudos for Community Caregivers Award Program. And this was to recognize all of the volunteer caregivers in our community who are helping each and every day. So we did an event last year at the Mason Inn. We were actually the first nonprofit to have an event at the new Mason Inn, and they graciously provided the venue for us. And we had author Lee Woodruff came in and talked, and she, of course, had a husband who had a brain injury in Iraq, and she's been a caregiver. We honored 4 wonderful caregivers that were nominated by the community. Their stories are so compelling of what they do each and every day. And they're representative of so many more out there in the community that we never recognize.
We're not talking here about paid caregivers. We're talking about
Volunteer.
volunteer caregivers to members of their family or members of the community.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this year we're having the event again on September the 26th. It's again at the Mason Inn. And this year our speaker is Gail Sheehy, who has just written a wonderful book called Passages in Caregiving, and she'll be joining us at the event.
Acknowledged expert on caregiving.
Yes, she took care of her own husband, Clay Felker, for about 17 years. And she's really examined what it means to be a caregiver, how it impacts the life of the caregiver, what the caregiver needs to really do the job well, and to not lose yourself, because we know caregivers suffer too when they undertake this task.
Absolutely.
It's a big challenge for the caregiver.
You brought along a couple of slides today. Let's take a look.
Sure.
The slides, first of all, represent some of the people who are in service. Talk a little bit about that.
These are some of the young folks from Spark here in the community, and they get together about 3 times a week at their clubhouse. It's just a terrific program.
And if we move along, that next slide features what it is that you're going to be doing in September with the fundraiser.
Yep. Well, this is our, yes, this is about our event, the Kudos event. This is going to be a terrific event. We really would hope the community would come out and join us. First Lady Michelle Obama and Dr. Jill Biden have been invited to join us on this. Their issue, of course, is vets, and one of the things that Life Circle is very involved with is looking into what services will be needed for the vets that are returning to our area, too.
Well, let's all write this down on our calendar. It's coming up on the 26th of September. The Mason Inn is the new hotel and conference center on the campus of George Mason University in Fairfax, and it's a breakfast event. We can do this and still go off to the office or to our other daily activities. It's 8 o'clock in the morning. The ticket price is very modest, $35, but you're also, I'm sure, looking for sponsorships as well.
Oh, yes. We'd love to have people come out and sponsor. And we have some wonderful guests joining us. I just heard that the Secretary of Health and Human Services for Virginia, Dr. Bill Hazel, will be with us too.
Good.
And actually, Dr. Gloria from the Health Department. Dr. Merton will again be coming. He had a wonderful time last year.
Good. Good.
So it's a great time to come out. It's actually a book signing for Gail Sheehy too. So she will be there signing her books. And Kate Hanley will be our Mistress of Ceremonies.
Oh,
so
wonderful.
it's a don't miss opportunity.
Well, sounds great. Sounds right. We'll put that on our calendar for September 26th. Let's step back just for a moment because we're running out of time, and we want to make sure that people have an understanding in the community at large that they can play a role in the Life Circle Alliance.
Right.
Talk a little bit about how our viewers can participate with you in the important work you're doing to support our aging population.
Okay, I think the first is join us by looking at our website. You can certainly become an individual member, and that will get you all the information that we put out all the time, all of the new statistical information that's coming out on the issues around aging. And we keep you updated on what's going on in the community. I think, too, if you have the means to join us as a contributor to the Haywood Grant Fund, terrific opportunity to really see some good get done in the community. Yeah. And Verdi continues to champion that fund.
Surely.
And then the Kudos event. Come out and honor the caregivers. Come out and join us because I think that we are about 3 years ahead of our time. I think in 3 years, every nonprofit will be dealing with the issues we're dealing with right now. It's just that the wave is coming. The silver tsunami is upon us.
Right.
And we are just about 3 years ahead, which is terrific because as Fairfax has often been ahead in planning, it's made our community what it is today because it gives us the opportunity to plan. So come out and be part of Life Circle. Come out. There are other initiatives in the county that are ongoing too. Positive Aging Coalition just had a meeting at George Mason University. They're planning for the bonus years. What does that mean when we retire? How can we use our time better? Leadership Fairfax has a new program that they're going to announce that will train people who are retiring to come out and be leaders in the community. There's a course of study that they're putting forward to that. Another great opportunity to use those great skills that so many of our neighbors had in their work lives, and now that they've got the bonus years, let's put it to good for our neighbors.
The Verdi Haywood incentive grants can be supported by the public by a contribution, and as you mentioned, one corporate citizen has actually set up a series of those awards that are being made with his participation in the selection of the awardees. But also it is the case that folks who have ideas about programs or services or who themselves belong to nonprofits would be eligible to apply for an incentive grant.
That's right. Once we announce the grants, they're absolutely welcome to apply.
Right.
And we do vet the projects, and then we pick the best, most promising, if you will.
Sure.
And we certainly hope that this fund will grow. It would be our sincere wish that rather than a round of $10,000 that we could announce $50,000 or $100,000.
Exactly.
And I think we'll get there over time.
Exactly. How do you coordinate with Community Foundation and that sort of thing?
They're very much they're aware of what we do. Actually, Eileen Ellsworth, who heads the Community Foundation, is on the committee that's picking our Kudos Award winner this year. So she is very involved, and we do stay in touch with all of the major players in the community that are doing similar work.
Christine, we're going to have to leave it there. I thank you very much for being on our show tonight.
Thank you very much for having me. It was a pleasure.
Lots of exciting things going on in the community, and you can be part of it. Check out the Life Circle Alliance website for ways that you can participate, and make sure September 26th, I'll see you there at the Mason Inn. Thank you for joining us on Virginia Report tonight. Hope you'll join us next week at the same time. Good night.